Setting up an LLC in 2026 feels like the smart move. But if you set it up in the way most people do, it can quietly cost you tens of thousands of dollars every year and leave you with less protection than you think. And you know what the scary part is? You usually do not find out until it's too late. I'm Mia, a certified CPA, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 6 most costly mistakes I see business owners make while setting up an LLC. And I'll also guide you on how to set up your LLC the right way that can save you a lot in taxes. Let us be honest for a second. Forming an LLC is stupid easy. You can use LegalZoom, CorpNet, your state website, a few clicks, a couple $100, maybe an hour of your time. Done. You get the fancy document. You feel official. And that is exactly where the problems start. Because formation is the easy part. That is paperwork. That is not the strategy. The part that decides whether you save money or bleed it, whether you're protected or exposed, happens after you file. And most people never think about it. They copy advice from TikTok without understanding the why behind each decision. They pick the wrong state. They stay in the wrong tax treatment for years. And they run money through the business in ways that blow up their protection. And the worst part is nothing feels broken. There's no alert, no warning email. You just overpay year after year, thinking you did everything right. Let me show you what it looks like in real life. I had a client I will call Marcus. Marcus runs a marketing agency. He has been in business for 4 years. He set up his LLC the week he landed the first real client. He filed in Wyoming because someone on YouTube said it was the move. He felt protected. He felt smart. Then one of his contractors messed up a deliverable. The client threatened to sue, and Marcus was not too worried. He has an LLC, right? His attorney took one look and said, "This is not going to protect you." Why? Because Marcus has been running business and personal finances through the same account. He never updated his operating agreement. He treated the LLC like a costume instead of a real structure. The LLC existed on paper, but legally it was basically decoration. I call this the false protection trap. It's like putting a security sign in your yard and never installing the alarm. From the street, it looks protected, but in reality, nothing is stopping someone from walking right in. Now, let us talk about the part most people do not understand at all. The IRS does not care that you form an LLC. They do not care how many LLCs you have. They do not care what state you file in. They do not care about your fancy operating agreement. What they care about comes down to 2 questions. How is the entity taxed? And is it being maintained like a real business? That is what drives your tax bill. And that is what influences whether your structure holds up. I have worked with owners who have 3, 4, 5 LLCs, and they're still exposed legally, not because they did not form enough entities, because none of them were set up with intention. The structure looked right. It just did not work right. And that brings us to the myth that shows up constantly, the Wyoming myth. Every week, someone asks me, should I form an LLC in Wyoming or Delaware? I heard there's no state tax. And here's what is actually happening when people do this. You live in California. You run your business from California, and then your clients might be everywhere, but you are in California. And then when you file an LLC in Wyoming because a guru said it was saving you in taxes, what happens next is that California would say, cool, you have a Wyoming LLC, but you live here and operate here, so you owe us taxes. And now you also have to register as a foreign LLC in California, which means more fees and more filings. Thanks for paying. You did not save money. You created more paperwork, more compliance headaches, and more chances to mess something up. The state you file in can matter for very specific reasons. Sometimes privacy, sometimes legal structure for complex situations. But from a pure tax perspective, it almost never saves you money if you're operating somewhere else. Income does not magically avoid taxes because the LLC was filed in a different state. It gets taxed where you live and where you work. So if the state is not the real lever, what is? This is where the real mistake lives, staying in the default. The tax section is where real money is made or lost. And most owners do not realize they are even making a choice. So here's what happens by default. You are a solo owner, you form an LLC. The IRS automatically treats it as a disregarded entity, which is the fancy way of saying they pretend it does not exist. Your business income goes straight into your personal return on the Schedule C. At first, that can be fine, simple and easy. But here's what nobody tells you. Every dollar of profit on that Schedule C gets hit with self-employment tax. Now, pause on this next part. There is a legal way to reduce this significantly for many business owners. It's called an S corp election. So instead of paying self-employment tax on all of your profit, you pay yourself a reasonable compensation and take the rest as distributions that skip self-employment tax. Depending on your income, the saving can be $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 plus per year. But most people never make the switch, not because they decided against it, because nobody told them it was an option. So they stay in the default, and the default keeps costing them money year after year. Let me make this real with two business owners. Owner A files fast, picks Wyoming because the internet said so, never revisits the tax election, mixes business and personal expenses in the same account. He's making about $220,000 a year, feels good about it, but quietly he's paying over $30,000 extra every year in self-employment tax alone, and his legal protection is basically theater. If someone sues him, it probably would not hold up, and he has no idea. Owner B is in the same industry, same income, but she did not rush the setup. She filed in her home state, she separated accounts from day one, and then when she hit around $80,000 in profit, she talked to someone about her tax election and made the S corp switch. Same $220,000 in income, but she is keeping $40,000 to $50,000 more every single year. Over 5 years, that is $200,000 difference. And that difference is not talent. It is not a hustle. It is not a secret hack. It is a setup decision made once, and they keep paying you back year after year. So here's how to keep this simple without missing what matters. I think of this as 3 control points. Start with your operating state. File where you actually live and operate, because that is what determines your tax exposure anyway. Out-of-state LLCs usually add costs and complexity with no upside. Then your tax selection. The default can be fine when you are starting out. But once you are consistently profiting 60, 80, 100,000 plus, you need to evaluate the S corp election. I have a full video breakdown when it makes sense and when it does work, and I'll link it below. Do not stay in the default forever just because nothing feels broken. The money you are losing does not send you a notification. And then your compliance habits: separate bank accounts, clean books, on-time filings, operating agreement that is updated and followed. This is what makes the LLC real in the eye of the IRS and the court. If any one of these is weak, the structure weakens. If a couple of them are weak, money starts leaking and risk starts rising. If all of this is ignored, the LLC stops being protected and become a liability. Here's what I want you to take away. Most people treat LLC formation like a checkbox. Got my LLC, done. Move on. That mindset is exactly how people end up paying for it later. A good LLC setup is infrastructure for the next stage of your business. It either costs you money or makes you money based on how it is maintained. Now, formation is the first layer. What happens after you file is what determines the outcome. So here's your next step. Take a quick look at your current setup and ask yourself a few honest questions. Are you filed where you actually operate, or did you copy advice without understanding why? Are you still in the default tax treatment and it is costing you real money now? And are your compliance habits strong enough that your protection would hold up if you ever need it? And if you're not sure, that is okay. What causes problem is ignoring it and hoping nothing breaks. If you want help figuring out where you stand, I do free strategy calls where we look at your current structure and I tell you exactly what is working and what might be quietly costing you money. The link is in the description. No pitch, just clarity. And if nothing needs to change, I will tell you that too. And if you want to go deeper on entity structure and how to build wealth through your business, watch the video I'm linking here. That is where the real conversation begins. See you in the next one.